Time for another episode of Day Drinking and Tarot, and today we are going to be checking out a really cool place in downtown or Old Town Scottsdale, and it's called the Wine Collective. So come and join me. We'll talk a little tarot, a little transformation, and drink some fabulous wine on a fabulous day. What a day it has been already. And I have to tell you, getting into this space here where I am at the Wine Collective has been a journey. And at first I was very confused about why all of this stuff was happening. And now I understand why. So I'm gonna tell you a story about my day, and it is absolutely fitting for the card that we are exploring today. And we are going to be talking about transformation in regards to the Chariot. All right, guys, so we're at the Wine Collective and I'm feeling really settled now. And let me tell you about my journey that is connected to the Chariot. First of all, I want to talk a little bit about the Chariot and let you know what the characteristics of this card are so that you understand how this story and my day is fitting perfectly with this energy. So the Chariot is all about willpower. It is the blending or the melding of opposites. Black meets white, up meets down. I want to say left meets right. It's very much I always like to use the analogy of siblings in a house. Two siblings might be completely polar opposite in the ways that they think and feel and all the things that they do, but they still have to somehow find a way to make it work because they're living in the same house. This is the Chariot. The Chariot is also very much about transportation, getting from point A to point B. And I like to talk about the Chariot as though it is a cab. Let's say you're on vacation and you just arrive at the airport, you get through, customs and all, get your luggage, and now you get into the cab and the vacation has started, but the cab is cramped and it's a little bit smelly and the driver drives a little bit crazy and you're just like, oh my God, get me to the resort so that I can actually relax, right? You wouldn't want to drive around in the cab for the entire, 3 days or 5 days or 7 days that you're on vacation, right? It is the ability to get you from A to B, and it helps you. You definitely don't want to have to walk with all that luggage, but you definitely don't want to have to stay in that space. And so there's a lot of that energy around the Chariot. And so coming here into the Wine Collective, I got a chance to meet the bartender named Jackie. And as is often the case, nobody wants to necessarily be on camera today, but she was so game for helping me to choose a wine that was really going to embody these characteristics. What we are drinking today is called the Provisioner. And let me tell you a little bit about what this wine, and it is a wine from Arizona, which I absolutely love, what it is all about. So it is a red blend, and it's blended with Pinot Noir, Cab Sauv, and Grenache. There are also other grapes blended in here, but they're not necessarily, I want to say they're kind of a hodgepodge, right? So again, think about the luggage in the cab. It just gets all thrown in there and you do what you gotta. And the reason why she chose this particular wine for us today with this Chariot card is she said it's a great wine that talks a lot about or embodies direction, redirection, misdirection. And I often like to say rejection is protection or redirection. And that's the story that's going to be coming up here. So she said people will often plant Pinot Noir, but and especially here in this area, but it's a particular grape and it doesn't have enough structure. It doesn't have enough body to stand on its own. So it needs other grapes in order for it to really thrive. It needs other grapes in order for it to kind of have a place and to fulfill its purpose. And I thought, wow, this is like so perfect for the Chariot card. So when we're talking about that, I want to say that transformational journey, there is a lot of the unknown. There is a lot of the, I'm leaving one position or one version of myself and I'm moving into another position or another version of myself. And I don't always know what that absolutely means. And when we're talking about that wine that needs a little bit of extra structure, it's perfect, because on our journey, as we are moving forward, as we are heading into the new frontier, the great unknown, we don't know what we're going to expect. We do need a little bit of help and a little bit of assistance along the way. And the Chariot is a victory when it comes to that. Again, it's not like you're riding in style, but it is serving its purpose. It is getting you where you want to go. So let's taste this Provisioner red blend and see what the Chariot is all about. Oh, I like it. So the nice thing about this particular wine is that it is a little bit lighter. And you guys know, if you've been watching me, you know I love a fuller bodied wine. I'm all about that full bodied red. I tend to shy away from the wines that you can see through. And I mean, it's a beautiful color, but you can see through it. So this is not a wine that I would necessarily pick all the time. I wouldn't pick it, you know, I want to say with a really good meal, or, you know, when I'm feeling really confident about where things are at. But it's definitely a transitional wine. This is a great before dinner wine. This is a great, I want to say, a palate preparer, a preparer of the palate. So I love the lightness. The aroma is incredible. It's got a little bit of a zing, but then it evens out just in the nose. And this is the third sip. It's really warm on the palate, but also has a little bit of a springiness, a little bit of a, I want to say a little bit of a bite to it, and not a bad bite, just sort of that. It's a reminder that you're not going to stay here forever. Again, I would only have one glass of wine of this, and then I would be moving on to something with, I want to say, a little more substance. And that really fits the Chariot. So here is the story of our fabulous Chariot card. Today, I woke up and I, for some strange, bizarre reason, had no client bookings of any kind. And that is so unusual for me. It's a Sunday. It's a Sunday. My weekends are usually booked solid and I'm overbooked because everybody is trying to get in. And I was like, okay, universe, what are you trying to tell me? I know I've been feeling a little stressed. Maybe it's time for me to just kind of have a day off. And I thought, oh, I'm a little behind on my recordings. Maybe this is a great day to do a little bit of recording. Maybe it's a day to go and do some day drinking at Tarot. And so I called up a friend of mine and I said, hey, do you want to meet me? I'm going to go and do a couple of different segments. And she's like, yeah, but I don't want to do the whole day. I'll meet you for the second half. So I said, okay, great. We'll plan to meet in Old Town Scottsdale, and do a little shopping, do a little day drinking, have a little lunch. It'll be fabulous. And in the meantime, I'll go to one of these other places that I've been wanting to check out for a while. So I get all dressed up. I'm in my dress. I'm feeling cute. I'm feeling good. The intuition is with me. And I show up at this really incredible place. It's one of these wine bars that is a premier wine bar. All these, bells and whistles and, big nods from big magazines and marketing outlets. And so I was really excited. And I walked in there and I sat down and I talked to the bartender, and she was so down for it. And she was so down to even be on camera and to pick you could tell she was a tarot enthusiast. She was loving it. She was all about it. And then the owner came over, very pleasant, introduced himself, shook my hand and said, what is all of this? And I said, oh yeah, absolutely. Here's who I am. Here's what I've been doing. Here's my show. I'm happy to give you a an example, send you one of the shows to watch. It's literally a 10-minute thing, 12-minute thing. And I just kind of promote your space. I talk a little bit about the card, talk a little bit about transformation, and it's a done deal. And he said, amongst many other things, I'm not really comfortable with this because I've had problems with people filming in my space and putting it on YouTube in the past. And he said, you can film it as long as you don't put my name on it, as long as you don't put the name of the wine place on it. And I thought, okay, that's a little awkward, but I can work with that. And as I was kind of, he took the wind out of my sails a little bit, not gonna lie. And as I was trying to determine whether, okay, how can I do this? How can I rethink it and get a little creative? I overheard him talking to someone else at the bar that was sitting a few seats away from me, talking about how there's nothing worse than a person who's sitting on their phone in his bar, gabbing away. And I was like, okay, that seals the deal for me. Rejection never feels good. But sometimes rejection is protection and redirection. So this is not the right energy, the right space for me to be doing this. So I went on my phone and I had a number of different places that I've been wanting to check out. And there was one that was 3 minutes away. So I got in the car, drove on over, and this was a place that I was really excited about checking out. It's one of the places that I had researched before I even arrived in Phoenix. And I walked in and hey world, this is me, and here I am, and this is what I'm doing. And the girl was younger. It wasn't that she told me that I couldn't film, it was that she was very uncomfortable with the idea that I was doing this without booking the space for an event. And so she clearly I didn't explain properly what it was that this was all going to be about. And so 2 strikes. And I have to say to you guys, if you've been following me, I've been doing this now for a little while, and it never occurred to me that there would be places that wouldn't want free advertising. It never occurred to me that there would be places that would say, no thanks, but no thanks. And so, of course, my ego was a little bit wounded because it does feel like rejection. And so I sat there in the car and I called my friend who I'm supposed to be meeting for lunch. And I was like, what am I supposed to do with this? I woke up this morning, I felt so excited. I love doing this show. I'm on fire. I'm in the right direction. I'm moving forward. This is my Phoenix rising, rah, rah. And what's wrong with people that they don't like me? What's wrong with me? All of this stuff. And she's like, okay, well, maybe you're just supposed to take the day off. Maybe you're supposed to be in a different place. And I said to her, you're absolutely right. Clearly, this is a redirection moment, especially if I went to not 1, but 2 places and got turned away. So I was like, all right, well, we're still going to meet at this wine collective and we're still going to have lunch and we're going to go do some shopping and we'll just see. And I'll just go there and I'll, take a different tact and ask for permission, which is kind of, a little bit new, but an important lesson for me to learn, which is also about the Chariot, waking you up to things that you weren't considering in the past, not always being told yes. Not everybody's going to think that you're awesome and wonderful and amazing. Not everyone is going to be willing to work with you in these ways. So, Stacy, pull your head out of your ass and open yourself up to what this is presenting. So I walked in. I just was really honest and really vulnerable with Jackie and told her what was going on. And she was like, okay, I don't want to be on camera, but I kind of like your idea, but let me call the owner and just make sure that it's okay. And I'm really glad that she did. And so this is where we're at. So what does all this have to do with the Chariot? The Chariot, again, is that vehicle that helps us to move from place A to place B. And when we are talking about Phoenix rising and that Phoenix rising space, we are definitely talking about moving from one version of yourself into another, getting to know yourself. Sometimes it is throwing spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks. And the Chariot, again, is not meant to be comfortable for a long period of time. It is meant to help you move from that place A to place B. And I feel like today's experience is exactly that. It was redirection. okay, I think I need to get here and I need to be here in a particular period of time, and everything's going to go exactly in my A-type control freak way, and everything's going to be awesome. Everyone's going to think it's wonderful, and yay, rah, rah. Well, the Chariot comes in and says, surprise, that's not the case. But you can still make happen what you choose to make happen. There still can be victory in this experience. And we're sitting here in the victory, and I am drinking this provisioner wine, and I am enjoying the experience. So that is our Black Feather Couture Divining a VIP Life Day Drinking and Tarot episode. I hope you have enjoyed it. If you've ever had a Chariot experience like me, I would love to hear about that in the comments. And, you know, as you're thinking about this in terms of your own transformation and your own experiences, I'll leave you with this thought. Where in your life are you perhaps not leaving enough room and space for the adventure itself? Because that's what the Chariot also brings to us. We are eventually definitely going to get to the place that we want to be, the place that we're supposed to be, but we may not get there in the way and space and timing that we think it's going to go. And that doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. It actually means be open to the adventure. Because now I'm sitting here and I'm drinking an incredible glass of wine. I met a new person behind the bar. I'm on the adventure, and boy, is it exciting. Are you a starseed, light worker, empath, sensitive, or healer, and you're wondering when will things finally start moving forward around a particular situation in your life? Then this reading is for you. Stacy the Black Feather Intuitive, and welcome to Real Life Readings. And for this segment, where we're going to give some real practical guidance, I chose this particular topic because I need answers to this particular question. So if you are feeling this, then you are not alone, because I'm going through it too. And let me just sort of talk you through a little bit of it, and then we'll get right to the reading. I have been, for the last 4 years, really in a tumultuous state from a financial perspective. And not to get into all of the nitty gritty or the details of it, but it happened after I got divorced. And PS and FYI, if you are a woman in business, having your own business, and you're thinking about leaving a marriage, I highly recommend you connect to a financial advisor before you make any moves, because there's a lot that occurs specifically to women, from my experience, not so much to the men that choose to leave relationships, but the women who choose to leave relationships who own their own businesses, that there's just a lot that you don't know and you find out on the flip side. So, you know, and PS and FYI, no judgment, you know, if money is not your strong suit and maybe you've got, you know, some gambling things or you like to spend or whatever, this is not a judgment on that. I didn't do those things. I do like to live VIP, of course. So I like some of the finer things in life, but I'm actually pretty decent with my money. And if I am, who is very decent with my money, can get into this situation, so many people, I'm sure, can get into this situation as well, and not through any fault of their own. So I've been in this for 4 years. I'm so fucking ready to be done with it. And I've just I've had like periods of time where I get frustrated with it. But the last couple weeks, I've really just been in the, is it ever going to end? Like every time I turn around and I think, okay, we're at a turning point. This is great. This is awesome. I can see light at the end of the tunnel. Something else comes up. And what triggered this was someone hacked my business account. So I had to go through, and thank goodness they didn't take a ton of money, but I'm now in the process of having to deal with that and, switching over my account numbers. And for those of you who are in business who understand, everything is on an auto pay. And it's such a pain in the ass to have to redo that, right? So for those of you, whatever your situation is, whether it's financial or personal, a relationship situation, maybe a particular, kind of cycle that you've been in, and you're like, okay, I don't know what more I could do. Like, I don't know what more I'm supposed to do. Let's get to it. Let's do this reading. And instead of tarot today, I chose to go with the Wisdom of the Hidden Realms from Colette Baron Reid. This is one of the first oracle decks that I ever started with, and it never fails me. And I thought, yes, we need to go into the hidden realms to figure out what in the actual fuck is going on and why we seem to not be able to move through this situation. So the first question we're going to ask is, when will things finally start moving forward? What is at the heart of the matter around why I've been in limbo with this issue? What is the lesson or message that I need to get? And from a spiritual perspective, we often have lessons that we need to get, and we repeat patterns and cycles until we kind of clue in. Ooh, the hungry ghosts, obsessions, scarcity consciousness, and attachment. Wow. Okay. So, and it's a 14, which is a 5. So change and transformation is necessary. So when we are talking about this heart of the matter and the message that we need to get, what I'm hearing here is scarcity consciousness. Now, I was giving you guys a financial example, but if the financial example isn't for you, but you're recognizing it's with a particular relationship or a particular situation that, you've turned yourself into a frickin' pretzel to get things moving, and it just doesn't seem to be moving. There can be a sense of scarcity in that regard as well. Scarcity of love, scarcity of being seen or heard. I want to say it's asking yourself the stories that you are telling in your head. Listen to the inner monologue. Here's the interesting thing, and we're going to throw a little bit of psychology into the mix here. It is more common knowledge today, but maybe you don't know this, that our subconscious has taken in a fuck ton of programming. And the majority of what we have to kind of work through and sort out on that self-awareness journey that every one of you that's watching this is on is the deprogramming. And I want to say the reprogramming. So, or the replacement of that programming with healthy, vibrant thought, liberated energy, non-attachment versus attachment. So for you guys, the heart of the matter for you, I feel the issue has been that you've kind of overdone it, overthought it, kind of gotten really attached to the I have to resolve it. I have to get it out of my system. I need to fix this. Years ago, I went through a phase, it was part of my awakening, where I was going through a lot of original family healing, healing from trauma, from my upbringing. And I hit a wall. I hit a point where I was seeking out a particular memory that I couldn't recall it. And I felt like if I can't hear this memory or see this memory or remember what this is about, how can I heal from the trauma of it? And I went through a pretty extensive period of time where I tried everything under the sun. And it got to the point where it was almost like an obsession. And it also got to the point where trying to heal the thing became unhealthy for me, if that makes sense. So I feel like what the Hungry Ghosts is saying is sometimes you have to let go of the way that you're approaching the situation and just allow it to be what it is. Allow it to unfold in the way and pace that it wants to unfold, as well as the fact that it's getting to a place of acceptance that there may not be resolution or closure. And maybe that's not what you need. Maybe that's what you've been told that you need, or you've been told that this is what you're supposed to do. But I feel like that's not what's transpiring. And this
attachment energy really stands out to me because we get so attached. We've been trained and programmed to get attached to people, places, and things. And as soon as we attach ourselves to something, we automatically, from a subconscious level, create a level of panic, anxiety, fear at the loss of it. I finally have this thing. It's mine now. And now I'm afraid that somebody could turn around and take it away from me. So I'm either going to squish it like a bug, desperately trying to keep it in my sphere or realm of protection and control and don't leave me, or I'm completely avoidant of it, which is not healthy either, because then I'm robbing myself and the other, whatever it happens to be, of the experience, and I don't grow. I remain stuck. So non-attachment is the key. And you guys have heard me talk about non-attachment a lot. And if you're new to this show, welcome. Let me just give you a quick little refresher or crash course. Again, attachment it generates a sense of fear and a sense of loss and a sense of grief before you've even had the full experience. Whereas non-attachment says, oh my goodness, the butterflies landed on my hand. What a precious, beautiful moment. Let me just be present in the moment. Let me not get attached to time. Let me not try to keep this butterfly here with me and to never let it go, because I'm going to crush or destroy the very beauty of it, the excitement of it. And instead, I'm going to stop whatever it is I'm doing and I'm going to be present. And I'm going to say, thank you for this experience, because you're forever changing me in a positive way. And I'm not going to attach timing to it, because that's not necessary. The experience is what it's meant to be in the moment, and I just need to be present for it. That helps us with eliminating anxiety. It helps us from getting stuck in patterns and cycles. It helps us from getting out of the hungry ghosts, from giving away our power to those hungry ghosts. So I hope that makes some sense. Now, our second question, what can I do to release my attachment? We were just talking about that. So what can I do to release my attachment to the timing of this situation? Oh my God, that's so funny, because it's depleting my light. And that's really important. For those of you who are watching this, you are individuals who want to see the world in a better way, who want to see people in a better space and a place, to want to leave people better off than you found them. And how do you do that? Through shining your light. Well, if your light is dimmed and it's covered up by all of this attachment and all of this scarcity, all of this obsession, how are you going to shine your light? So how do we release ourselves from that attachment to time? We have the Shadow Queen, acquiring knowledge, insecurity, manipulation. So I feel like the first thing here is to not be afraid of the shadow self. And to use the analogy of further analogy of what I was talking about, where I recognized that my desperation to heal myself was becoming unhealthy. So it was making a situation worse. And I had to recognize, okay, I've done the work that I need to do. Let me just let go of the control of it and trust that my guides, the universe, is gonna really help me to figure this out. I don't have to figure it all out on my own, but I do have to be aware of my shadow side. I have to be aware of those darker thoughts or those hidden feelings, emotions, experiences. And sometimes they're hidden for a reason. Sometimes you don't want it to come to the surface until you're ready, until it's ready to be processed. So I feel like here with this acquiring knowledge energy, this is a great way to focus your attention and your energy. So if I don't want to be in that fear space, in that insecurity of attachment, that desperately trying to hang on to something, or completely avoiding having experiences or connections with anyone, and then feeling lonely and isolated and you can't figure out why, because you're not able to make those connections. The shift in focus is learning about yourself, and not from that unhealthy perspective of I'm trying to heal myself. It's more from the place of curiosity. And I feel like the Shadow Queen, Her secret is to be curious without expectation of what that curiosity is actually going to bring or actually going to do for you. It's kind of like, okay, let me just see what I find. I'm an observer of it. I'm not going to judge whether I find something really icky or something really awesome. I'm going to observe it, kind of like a scientist who's observing the petri dish and going in and just making notations on what it is that they're seeing, any shifts or changes in what's appearing, just taking down the data. And I feel like, when we're talking about that releasing of attachment to the timing because of that depletion of your light, this is giving you a little bit of a structure, a little bit of a place as an outlet to release your anxiety around releasing, right? When we get into that space, sometimes it's really helpful to just have something to do. And the Shadow Queen is saying, listen, we can shed a light on this stuff without having to go really deep. I want to say also the word extremes is coming up here as well. For many of you who are watching this, you're more of in an extreme type of situation. You're like, again, I don't know what the fuck more I can do to get through this situation or to change the situation. I've done the affirmations. I've, manifested the crap out of, whatever this thing is. I've gone for the therapy. I've spoken to the person. I've changed the location. I've, minimized my expenditures, whatever it happens to be. Don't lose hope. I feel like the issue, the heart of the matter, as we know, the issue is that programming, the subconscious that makes decisions for us until we bring awareness to that voice. And the Shadow Queen is coming up to help you with that. Acquiring knowledge. Why am I panicking in this moment right now? Is there really something legitimate that I need to panic about? Is there something legitimate that I need to pay attention to right now? Is it coming to light right now because there is something I can do about this thing, not the whole thing, and I have to get it all done yesterday, and I've got to fix this right now? It's more of a, okay, this is interesting. I didn't recognize this for what it was. Now what would I like to do with it? Let me be curious. Be curious in your approach to yourself. This is also going to help with those of you who are kind of mean to yourself. Your inner monologue isn't so kind. Approach it with the curiosity of a child. How would you speak to a child who is asking those questions and who is curious about learning something? You wouldn't be berating them. You wouldn't be judging them. You'd be helping them to explore their curiosity, and you would be giving them knowledge and wisdom to answer their questions. So take that approach and see how that shifts your mood around this. All right, question 3. What can I look forward to on the other side of this thing? Give me a vision. I'm all about the vision. Give me a vision to focus on to keep me in the best mindset. Oh my God, I love it. The winged wise ones, angelic help, miraculous aid. So I feel like the angels are being very clear right now. They're coming out and they're saying, listen, we got you. There was something that came through I wish I could remember. It was the ask, the something kiosk. I'll have to look it up. The angels sent that to me. I channeled that for a newsletter probably like 3 years ago now. But it was like the something kiosks. And the whole point of that was angels are like, listen, we can't intervene for you on your behalf unless there is like a life or death thing that you're walking into where it's not in your blueprint that it's supposed to happen that way. Then we can intervene to sort of assist you. But otherwise, you have to ask for the help. We are here. We're waiting with bated breath for you to acknowledge us and to say, okay, angels, I got a problem. Help me out. I'm not sure what to do here. I don't know what the next step is here, or I've got a decision to make. Where do I go with this? The angels are like, oh my God, bring it on. Yay, they noticed me, right? So angelic help, it's a reminder to ask for what you need, because the angels, I was going to say the angels aren't mind readers. They actually are. They see and know a lot more than we do from our vantage point, but they cannot interfere in free will. You have free will. You have choices. You're the one who's steering the ship on the experiences that you're having. You're co-creating it. So it's a reminder that the angels are there to help you, but you have to ask. And then the miraculous aid. This is really important. I used to really have a hard time with the word miracle, because to me it was same with hope, the word hope. Having a hard time with hope, because like, what is hope? What does it do? It's kind of like, it's like blame. It's like a nothing burger. You can place blame, but it doesn't resolve the situation. It doesn't solve anything. It doesn't stop anything. What's done is done. It's like, okay, here's where we're at and here's where we need to be moving forward, right? Miracles. I used to struggle with miracles because it's like, okay, what really is a miracle? How can you bring a miracle to you? And then I had some pretty incredible experiences with miracles. You could also call them synchronicities. Individuals that pop into your life, situations that happen that save you from a car accident, you turning left instead of right. And you're like, I don't know why the hell I just did that. I know I go this route every day. Why am I doing that? And you get all lost and tangled and you're all upset with the fact that you're now late getting to where you were supposed to go, and you don't understand why you could have just made such a silly mistake. And then you find out there was a huge accident on the route that you normally take, and you would have been smack dab in the middle of it, right? So those are miracles. And what I'm feeling here, the winged wise ones are also saying, you can ask. Not only can you ask for the angelic help, but you can ask for miracles. So what do we think a miracle is? Almost like it's like winning the lottery, right? We think of it as being a bit intangible. We feel like it's not super accessible. But miracles are around us every single day if we open ourselves to that. So I feel like that's the invitation here. And this is, sorry, I keep hitting the microphone. It's the Italian blood in me. I talk with my hands all the time. What can I look forward to on the other side of this thing? You can look forward to recognizing that you're not alone, that your angels and guides are wanting to help you, and the miraculous aid gives you the solution that you can't figure out on your own. And remember, we're talking about a situation where you've done the things and the stuff. You've checked off the list. You maybe have even done the list twice just to be safe. And you're still finding yourself in that situation. The miraculous aid is there, and it's coming through because you're now saying, okay, I don't know what else to do. I surrender. Not I give up. More of a, okay, I need to ask for help because I don't know anything else that I can do. And that's when your guides can swoop in and say, here's what's on the other side. Awesome. We're going to teach you a new way to process these things when they happen so that you don't have to go through this anymore. So you don't have to get stuck in the pattern and cycle. And also we're going to teach you that when you are feeling a little bit in limbo and you are stuck in a cycle, to not panic about it, to ease into it, to accept it fully. Because when you accept it fully, you move through there faster and you're more receptive to miraculous aid. You're more connected to your angels and guides. You're not feeling like you got to do it all on your own. Wow. And I just want to point out as well, so we had the 14, which is a 5 with the hungry ghosts. And now we have 2 7s. 16 is a 7 and 34 is a 7. 7 is the number of divinity. 7 is the number that I like to say is the let's dot the I's and cross the T's before we put our manifestations into mass production, before we are opening to receiving it. And so I feel in many ways what you can expect is a happy course correction, an opportunity to tweak your outcome. And who doesn't want more of that, right? I'd like to tweak my outcome. Maybe in the asking of it, I was limiting myself. I was forgetting a particular portion of something, or I was saying I don't deserve. That subconsciousness was playing I don't deserve. But when I ask for help, suddenly all of that stuff comes to the surface. And now I see, oh, I've been asking for too little. I've not been asking for enough in this situation. And maybe that's the thing that breaks you through. So miraculous aid, number 7. 7 is significant. 7 is important. And I'm hearing for you guys watching this, 7th month, which is July, the 7th day of the month, the 16th of the month, the 25th of the month, all 7s. So pay attention to those days in a month as well, not just in July, every month from the time that you are experiencing this reading to after. Because 7 has an energy for you that's going to support you in when the fark is this going to finally move forward? When am I going to see the light at the end of the tunnel? When am I going to be in the light at the end of the tunnel? I feel like that's what this is about. This is a segment that is all for my fellow starseeds, light workers, sensitives, healers, empaths. Get into my happy place and channel one of the archangels. We are going to pull a feather from the feather jar and let's see what the energies want us to know. We are talking about the psychic realm. Color is yet another tool that can help us. This is really all about going beyond the predictiveness of readings. Shalom all, Stacy the Black Feather Intuitive, and welcome to another segment. This is Feathers of Wisdom, and I'm really excited to be doing this. For a number of years now, I have been putting out on my YouTube channel a thing called Phoenix Feather Friday, and we just decided to incorporate it into this show, and so we're calling it Feathers of Wisdom, and I have this fantabulous feather jar that I created. Oh my God, this jar is probably 10 years old now. When I was beginning my journey, my sort of spiritual awakening, officially stepping into my psychic energy, I went through this crazy, wicked creative phase. And like I had to create everything and anything. And so I created this jar and I didn't know what was going to go in the jar. And then all of a sudden I got this download to put a bunch of feathers in it. And then I painted words on feathers. And so all of these feathers have been going along with me. And some of them are, Phoenix burning. Maybe they need to be retired a little bit and I need to put some new words in there. But this is our feather jar. And I've asked our fabulous Keone, my wonderful producer and counterpart, to join me for this segment. And to shift things up a little bit, I've asked him to prepare a couple of questions that I have no idea about so that when I'm pulling the feather, we can get an interesting message from our inner Phoenix, our angels and guides, maybe around transformation, how we're transforming, how we can best make the energies around us work for us. So hello, Keone, how are you?
I am better than Elvis.
Oh, that is so good to hear, because I don't think Elvis is doing real well right now.
Oh, jeez.
Are you set? Are you all set and up for this little game that I
am. I actually had some journey questions. It's funny because you just started a new journey.
Yeah.
But I had some journey questions, but of course I want to throw in a relationship question. So I got one relationship question and two starting a new journey questions.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Let's
I
go
want
better.
to get the relationship one out of the way and then
Okay.
get to the two, because it's about cycles with a lot of people. I've dealt with a lot of friends in the last 2 weeks that keep, they're talking to me about their relationship, and it's like, wait, we're going through this cycle again with the same type of person. So,
Hmm.
what energy am I currently attracting in my love life, and how can I shift it to align it with my relation with the relationship I truly desire?
Oh, I love that. And yeah, people are always caught in patterns and cycles. In case you don't know this, relationship is one of the quickest ways to ascension, to healing and growth. Because when you're involved in relationship, whether that's romantic partnership, which I know is what we're speaking to right now, but also relationship and engagement with others, it's all about the mirror and what is reflecting back to us. So we are constantly in opportunities to shift and tweak our choices. So I think that's really interesting. Okay, so the feather that we got here was meditate. And what I'm feeling here with your question, when you're asking about, actually repeat your question, what's the best way to, um,
What energy am I currently attracting in my love life, and how can I shift it to align with the relationship I desire?
so psychically, the energy that I feel the majority of you are sort of working with or attracting right now is it's a pattern of dysfunction, and you don't realize that it's dysfunctional because you're not aware of what is transpiring under the surface. You're not aware of I like to say, sort of the old recordings that are in your head. Here's a really great example, an exercise for you to try. When you've got a voice going on in your head and you catch yourself like, oh, I'm listening to this voice, or oh, yeah, there's a voice that's talking to me, just tune in for a second and make sure, well, basically ask what voice it is, because you will be amazed. And I'm not talking about mental illness here, I'm talking about the psychic realm. So many of us have other people's voices in our heads, but they've been there for so long that we think it's our own. I'll give you a perfect example. I always have my mother's voice in my head. And for so many years, I did not understand that that wasn't my voice, and that wasn't necessarily something that I needed to follow. That was the voice in my head. Her fear was always in my head. You can't do this and you can't do that, and if you do this and you do that, there's going to be, hellfire and brimstone, or there's going to be something horrible to happen. So I feel like, to answer your question, the guidance to be able to help yourselves with that is like, listen to the voice. Is it your voice? Is it someone else's voice? And then you want to ask, is it relevant to this relationship situation? Am I maybe projecting another voice or another's opinion or concept of relationship onto my own relationship? Am I seeking out a voice that reinforces, or a person that reinforces the voices in my head? It's about becoming more aware of what actually is running the show behind the scenes of your choices. And meditation is going to help to bring that to the surface so that you can really begin to understand. Yes, you can begin to understand the voices, but you can also start to understand what those voices are there to do, and are they really relevant to me? Are they helping me or hindering me? Are they keeping me stuck, keeping me in a dysfunctional cycle? Are they continuing to draw to me the types of people that constantly trigger me in a particular way or activate me in a particular way, so that I can look at that wound that is within me and I can heal it once and for all through meditation and the awareness that comes from that meditation and the intention that I set around that awareness? That's going to be the big key. I also love that this feather is pink. So pink is the heart chakra. It's the unconditional love, which is what we need when we're entering into relationships with other people. And often that's what we're seeking. We're seeking to be loved unconditionally, but very rarely do people actually understand what it means to be unconditionally loved and therefore to unconditionally love another. So meditation is what's going to help you with that. I don't know if that makes any sense, but there we go. There's our first feather, Keone.
It does make sense. It's very informative. So it's like I have to take it all in, um, and kind of just understand. And sometimes, I always say people don't always hear what they want to hear.
Oh, sure.
So I always have to be careful of that. I've got to make sure that I'm hearing what I need to hear, not what I want to hear.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. That's huge. And I'm going to say to you as well, when you are in a situation where you are perhaps counseling or someone is asking for your
Mhm.
guidance, you want to really be in a space of observance with it or being unattached to the outcome. Because a lot of times people aren't prepared to hear the truth. They're hoping that you're going to be able to give them something that is a quick fix, or to say it's the other person's fault and the other person needs to change. And so if you can get the other person to change, then you're good to go.
Oh,
But
that's good.
relationship is an inside job.
Yeah, that is true. All right. Let's get into the journey questions. I'm starting a new journey this year. A lot of people started their new journeys in January. They do it in New Year's, but throughout the year, people are always starting new journeys.
Yeah.
So I have two questions involving journeys. The first one is, what path aligns best with my true purpose? And how can I recognize it? So if I have a purpose in my journey, there are several things that come up, as you know. How do I recognize what's best for my journey to align with my sensibilities when I want to go on this journey? I hope I didn't butcher that.
No, you didn't butcher it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually speak to it and then I'll pull a feather for sort of the direction around it.
Okay.
So, whenever you are starting a new journey, it's in essence, it's the Fool's card in the tarot, and it is a sort of a phoenix rising energy where you are birthing yourself in a new way. You're getting to know yourself. So, experimentation and exploration is the key. Beginner's mind or student's mind is the key. Going into it, giving yourself permission to not know all the things and the stuff, to give yourself permission to throw a little spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks. And I want to say it's crucial or critical when you're starting a new journey to be really connected to your intuition, listening to yourself. And the best way to foster that connection, to keep that channel or that conduit open, is through meditation and through energy cleansing, paying attention to the people, places, and things that you're spending time with. When you spend time with particular people, do you feel exhausted afterwards and you need a nap? Or do you feel energized after the interaction? Especially when you're starting a new journey like that, you really want to be supporting yourself and setting yourself up for success. And a lot of that is, okay, I'm not going to know exactly everything that I'm supposed to do. I'm not necessarily going to know that this is the right person for me or that's the right choice for me unless I'm silent and I listen to myself. I go within. I'm paying attention. So I feel like that's really important. And then let's just pull a feather to give you, I want to say, some Phoenix guidance or Phoenix energy around maybe an action step that you can take around that, something that's going to support you. Let's see what we've got. Heart. Lead with your heart. Listen to your heart. Follow your heart. So often when we are beginning a new journey, we get caught up in our heads around I don't know how this is going to turn out. I don't have all the right steps. I don't have all of my ducks in a row. I don't know if I'm going to be able to handle what comes my way. I don't know my capacity or my capability. And all of that is head driven. And where does ego reside? Ego is all about the blah, 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 right? So the heart is saying, let the heart lead. be in the space of the heart first. Ask the heart the questions. Allow the heart to tell you sort of where to go, or the beginning stages. And then you can bring your mind, your clear mind, into that space. I always talk about the heart being the captain and the mind being the first officer that is supposed to enact the captain's wishes. And yeah, sometimes the first officer is in the driver's seat or is the, steering the ship. But ultimately that's not its job on a regular basis, on a permanent basis. So I feel like for you with this new journey, it's really connecting to your heart space and allowing that heart space to lead the way, to be the speaker of your intuition. I hope that makes some sense.
It always makes sense. You know what? I'm not saying this just because, I'm on here with you, but you rarely never make sense.
I never make sense, ever?
I said that wrong.
You sure did.
You always make sense. I think when
That's
we're doing
okay
it,
if I never make sense. That's important feedback to know too.
no, that's when we're on the phone talking about personal things. You don't make sense. When we're talking about this stuff, you always make sense.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right.
Well, good. I'm glad, because believe me, some of it is me, but a lot of it is the guidance that comes through, because I'm on this journey with y'all. I mean, I don't have all the answers either. So, I think in many ways we're all on a fool's journey on that, in that overarching way, where we all need to just approach life in general with that student mind.
Been on
that
a
beginner
foolish journey since birth.
Yeah.
So I was trying to think of something, and it's funny because I was looking at it, something that says, this may help you develop confidence in your instincts and recognize divine guidance in your choices. And the question that comes up with that statement is, what signs or intuitive feelings should I trust when making important life decisions?
Sure. That's a huge one. And I don't need to pull a feather.
And the
for
reason
that.
why I asked that is
Yeah.
because, is a gut feeling the same as an intuitive feeling? Because we said we all have a measure of intuitiveness, right?
Yeah.
Is that our intuitiveness when we have those gut feelings or eerie feelings towards a decision?
It's a great question. And I'm going to speak on it in a couple of different ways, because there are people out there who really respond to their gut instinct, which is an instinctive experience versus an intuitive experience. But if that is how they receive that kind of guidance and it works for them, there's nothing wrong with it. So I don't want to imply that a gut instinct isn't intuitive, but what I would offer is it's not 100% from an intuitive place. So it doesn't make it wrong. It just makes it a little bit different. We're all born with instincts. The instinct is there's a tiger chasing me, so I'm dropping everything and I'm running, right? And parts of my body, literally systems in my body, shut down in order to redirect all of the energy to me being able to run, because it's about survival mode, right? Intuition is the soft whisper, the gentle nudge, the inner knowing. I just know. I feel butterflies in my stomach when I get this idea, or ooh, I get a rock in my gut when I'm feeling into this idea. It's the intuition comes through our senses. Gut instinct absolutely can be a sense, but I feel like it's tied more to survival mode, fight or flight. Intuition is the random thought, the random inspiration that pops into your head when you're just quiet, when you're, in the waking and the sleeping state in between, when you're just about to go to bed and the mind is just kind of dumping or doing whatever it's doing. And all of a sudden you have this clarity or you have these realizations. That is intuition. The gut instinct feels a little more connected to survival mode. And again, not to say that people who live their lives from gut instinct are wrong. You're not. but understand that the way you're receiving that information comes from a different mechanism, and it comes from survival mode. Intuition has nothing to do with survival mode. Intuition can come to you at any given time, in any given direction, and it's subtle, which is why I talk a lot about the body being the psychic antenna, and especially women, but also men have been trained, have been taught to not pay attention, to dismiss the body in a lot of ways. I see with the younger generations that's different, that's changing. But many of us, who've lived a few years in this lifetime, we struggle to remain in the body because there's been so much chaos and drama and trauma and, all the things and the stuff that it doesn't feel safe to be in the body. So safe equates with survival mode, right? So I don't know if I'm making any sense. And PS and FYI, I'm not an expert on this. I'm sure there are studies out there that can give more, I want to say, sort of credence to this than I can. But that's just kind of how I perceive it, that a gut instinct or a gut reaction can get you out of hot water. But is it something that you're using on a daily basis for your ideas, for what you're feeling and sensing and knowing, for what you're manifesting? I don't know. I think it plays a role, but it's not the big thing. It's not the main attraction.
Sweet. And I'm going to consider everything you said because, again, you already know I'm doing a big journey this year. So
yeah, absolutely. And I support you in all of it. And know that all of us are on various journeys and different stages and phases of that journey. That's why I really love the Phoenix energy as my mascot, because ultimately we're always in some phase of Phoenix. Sometimes it's the macrocosm of the Phoenix, and sometimes it's the microcosm, and sometimes it's a little bit of both in your situation. So just know that, if you're also like Keone and you're starting a journey, I want to say it's easier said than done. Don't be afraid. Don't be scared. Just do this, just do that. Don't we all love that? No. I don't mean it in that way. I mean, understand that it's natural to have some trepidation. It's natural to not know all the things. It's natural to want to have all your ducks in a row to do it. And you're going to make it through. You're going to learn what you need to learn. There's no right or wrong. It's the journey that counts. It's the experience that counts. That's what the soul is here for. So trust in yourself.
Darn it, we ran out of time. I can't get to my fourth question. How do I bring my sexy back? So we'll have to save that for another time.
That'll be a feather pull for another time. Absolutely.
All right. Well, every time I bring my sexy back, I pull something besides a feather, but we'll get into it next time.
Yeah, story for another time. That's the X-rated version of this show.
I was talking about like a hamstring, Stacey. Good Lord.
All right, guys, that is our Feathers of Wisdom for this month. As always, sending you guys so much love. Mr. Neo's coming in to spread a little love. If you like what you see here, please feel free to like, subscribe, and click the bell on my YouTube channel for more content like this. Also, join me on Blue Sky. Would love to see you there. And if you are maybe struggling with some of the things, you're on a new journey, I would love to help you out and be of service. I have a lot of really cool Phoenix Journey experience readings that are available, and just click on the link in the description below to book. I would love to be of assistance. Take care, guys. Transform well. Thanks, Keone. This is a segment that is all for my fellow starseeds, light workers, sensitives, healers, empaths. Get into my happy place and channel one of the archangels.